welcome to the Konvergent Video Series for the week of October 12th. Top three things we're going to cover on the video this week. First, the markets were up big on big stimulus hopes. Two, we're going to cover economic data and some of the concerns that we're seeing, although the headlines are still looking pretty decent. And then finally, we're going to touch on the stimulus and what that could mean for the markets ahead. Before I jump into the data for the week, I just hope you all had a great weekend. I know not all of you who watch this video are big Seahawk fans, but we had another thriller on Sunday night, and it was really fun to watch the game with my family, and in particular my 9-year-old daughter. She's a huge Russell Wilson and Seahawk fan, and it's just really fun to watch her scream and get so excited as we threw the winning touchdown pass there with just 15 seconds left, and she got to stay up late and watch the post-game show as well. So just kind of a fun way to finish the weekend, but also really special this weekend. On Saturday, I was invited and attended the 80th birthday celebration for a great client and friend, and it was really neat to see 4 generations of family there at the event that I've also gotten to know well over the last 10 years since working with the client. And it's really gratifying to know that even though clients hire us really to focus on solving problems and achieving their goals, it's nice when those relationships do lead to friendships, and also really gratifying to know that the work that we're doing now could have major impacts on many generations ahead. So another neat part of the week. All right, on to the data for the week. As we mentioned, the market was up pretty big on the week with stimulus hopes, with the S&P near 4% up on the week, its biggest week since August. And really was a kind of a crazy week to get there. First with the news of President Trump being released from the hospital early after his COVID diagnosis, followed by a huge drop-off on Tuesday as Trump tweeted out right near the end of the day that we would no longer be having any further stimulus negotiations until after the election, followed almost immediately after he saw the market go down by tweets indicating that the deal was still on. And then really throughout the week, the consensus pretty much became that a deal was near. And so we saw a big jump in the market throughout the week. And also coming up this week are the first releases of corporate earnings for Q3. And so we'll really get a sense for what corporate profits were last quarter, as well as what these big corporations in the U.S. think is coming up in the near future. So lots ahead to be watchful of here in the near future. Next, on to the economic data. First, new claims for unemployment were well over 800,000, which was higher than expected, as well as new pandemic claims were well over 400,000, and combined we're still at well over 1.3 million of new claims for unemployment. And still, I think there's some big headlines ahead on this that aren't really being reported a lot yet, and that's really all around states, counties, and cities are all having to finalize their 2021 budgets here in the next month or so, and there's lots of big gaps in those budgets due to the shutdowns and lower tax revenues coming in, and so there's a high likelihood of a lot of white-collar layoffs coming here near at the end of the year and into early next year. And so you can see some of those concerns with the chart that's up on the screen now with those that are making over 100,000 and their concern about a loss of income in the next 4 weeks, as well as a big drop in their comfort level here recently. So some concerns ahead on the new claims. Onto the continuing claims, we saw a nice headline reports here with new claims for unemployment falling, or continuing claims for unemployment falling by over 1 million. However, this may be strictly due to the fact that continuing programs in most of the states have a 26-week limit, so about 6 months. And if you look back to when this all started in March and early April, a lot of those that would have been early on in filing those claims might be at the limit of those benefits and might be falling off of continuing claims simply because they're no longer receiving benefits, not because they don't need them. And so that number is a little bit of a concern there. And finally, total claims for unemployment came in at 25.5 million, which was also a drop of about 1 million. But that also could be due to that same impact of those 26 weeks limits on benefits, and also some of those people that are simply just leaving the workforce because they're so frustrated with their ability to find a good paying job. So while the headline on the continuing and total claims was pretty good, we still have a lot of concerns on really where the employment market is as a whole. So on to more stimulus talks. Again, we talked a bit about it in the market discussion, but pretty much every big name was out promoting stimulus this last week, whether it was Fed Chairman Jerome Powell basically imploring Congress to act, to President Trump flip-flopping on whether he wanted a deal or not before the election, to Speaker Pelosi and Senate Leader McConnell, again, also back and forth on the likelihood of getting a deal done. But overall, the consensus is clear that a deal is on the way, which was driving the markets last week. But I guess the big question I have is really how much does this matter for Main Street? There's been this massive divergence this year on what's happened with Wall Street and Main Street, and that seems to be continuing right now. And really, even in this next stimulus deal, what is really going to change with that? And if you look at small businesses in particular, since January, small business revenue is still down over 20%. And the number of businesses open is down over 20% since January. So even with all this stimulus, there's still a lot of impact negatively to the Main Street. And as we've talked about multiple times on this video, the stock market is not the economy, and we can still see the market go up even if the underlying economic data is not positive. But we have seen some cracks in that, and even in September the market was down pretty severely at times with some of the data continuing to come through, and we're maybe not out of the woods fully yet. So we'll have to keep an eye on this here in the next few weeks. So bottom line, with stimulus talks on the way, corporate earnings on the way, as well as the election now just about 3 weeks away, lots of fireworks are likely to come, and lots of volatility could be in the cards here in the next few weeks. So something we're going to be keeping a close eye on. So as always, if you have any individual questions on your situation, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we hope you have a great week, and we'll look forward to talking with you soon.